Wake up, dead man, a Knives Out mystery spoilers ahead, so you've been warned. Few modern directors can pull off a murder mystery quite like Rian Johnson, and he's back with a third thrilling installment in his beloved Knives Out series. In Wake Up, Dead Man, Daniel Craig returns as Benoit Blanc, the eccentric private investigator who's about to tackle his most challenging case yet. Johnson's script even references classic locked room mysteries like John Dixon Carr's novel The Hollow Man. Right from the start, Blanc calls this an impossible crime because of just how difficult it is to solve. The victim and the suspect. So who's the victim? Monsignor Jefferson Wicks, played by Josh Brolin. He's the parish priest of a small church in upstate New York, and thanks to his rather controlling presence in the pulpit, he's built up an incredibly dedicated following. Now the most obvious suspect? That would be Reverend Judd Duplessis, played by Josh O'Connor. At least that's what most people think, including local police chief Geraldine Scott, played by Mila Kunis. Judd is a younger clergyman and former boxer who was sent to the parish as punishment for assaulting a deacon. He got off to a rough start with Wicks right away, which gives him pretty obvious motivation. But Blanc, he's not convinced. After asking Judd to record his own version of events, Blanc slowly begins piecing together who really killed Wicks, and more importantly, how they pulled it off. And trust me, the more that's revealed, the more questions pop up. The twist begins. Want to know what really happened in those final scenes? Keep watching, but major spoilers from here on out. Who killed Monsignor Wicks? While it's clear this is an incredibly tough case, things really take a wild turn one evening. Judd spots something that seems downright impossible. Monsignor Wicks emerging from the mausoleum, greeted by Samson the groundskeeper, played by Thomas Hayden Church. Naturally, Judd rushes over to get a closer look at this supposedly paranormal sight, but as he approaches, he gets knocked unconscious. When he wakes up, he's lying next to Samson, who's been murdered. While Judd's trying to wrap his head around this mess, he gets a call from the construction company he'd contacted earlier. They tell him that Wicks had ordered the mausoleum to be opened some time ago, obviously when he was still alive. At this point, Judd starts to believe he must have killed Samson during a blackout when he was unconscious. But Blanc, who's also made progress in his investigation, immediately stops him from turning himself in. Here's where things get interesting. Blanc had earlier mentioned that a devil ornament, which was used as the murder weapon, had gone missing from a nearby bar. Now he tells Judd there were actually two of these ornaments. The second one was taken by Dr. Nat Sharp, played by Jeremy Renner, one of Wicks's devoted followers. But wait, it gets crazier. When Judd and Blanc head to Nat's house to confront him, they find something horrifying. Both Wicks's body and Nat's body dissolving together in a tub. Nat is clearly dead. Blanc immediately calls the police and gathers all the other suspects at the church. The detective then begins explaining what's really been going on. Judd's still insisting he must be involved somehow, but Blanc reveals that Nat was the one who killed the Monsignor. He pulled it off through some clever deception, swapping one devil ornament for another. But then Blanc admits he's stumped and lets everyone else go. Martha's confession. Of course, the case is far from over. After everyone leaves, Martha Delacroix, played by Glenn Close, and the Monsignor's former right-hand woman, returns to the church. She asks Judd if she can confess. Here's what she reveals. When she was younger, she witnessed Wicks's grandfather, a former parish minister, swallow a priceless diamond called Eve's apple before he died. He decided it shouldn't go to his daughter Grace, who was Wicks's mother. Grace went absolutely insane searching for the diamond, which we saw in an earlier flashback. Her search literally destroyed the church. Now Martha thought the newly arrived Judd was questioning her loyalty to Wicks, so she told the Monsignor where the diamond was, and he had construction workers dig up his grandfather's mausoleum. But as Wicks became more and more unhinged and started threatening to degrade his followers, Martha felt something had to be done. So she ordered Nat to carry out the murder. Then she convinced the loyal Samson to pretend to be Wicks's corpse and take his place in the mausoleum after stealing the diamond from the elder Wicks's body. The plan was for Samson to dress up as Wicks, emerge from the tomb, and be caught on camera. This would make the world believe that Wicks had disappeared and risen from the dead. The unraveling. Obviously, things went sideways when Judd stumbled onto the scene, something nobody expected. Martha also had no clue that Nat would kill Samson to steal the gem and then try to frame Judd for the murder. In fact, Nat had even tried to poison Martha, but she figured out his plan and switched their drinks right before he could execute it. That's what killed him. She then dumped his body in the acid next to Wicks, which explains the scene Blanc and Judd discovered earlier. After realizing Blanc was onto her, Martha consumed the rest of the poison herself. As she makes her final confession and asks for forgiveness, she admits that she's dying. And here's the kicker. Blanc was never actually stumped. He just wanted to give Martha the courtesy of confessing and seeking forgiveness on her own terms. The diamond's fate. In a brief flash forward 1 year later, we see Cy Draven, played by Daryl McCormack, and a former member of Wicks's congregation, still desperately searching for the diamond. Judd claims he doesn't know where it is. But in the very final scene, as he welcomes a new group of parishioners, we see it. The diamond is now hidden on a brand new crucifix that's been installed for the first time since Grace destroyed the church all those years ago. The credits roll to Tom Waits's "Come On Up to the House." Thanks for watching. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more.